Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I'm starting a brand new series on the channel where we go through every single monster type in Yu-Gi-Oh, analyzing what that monster type has at its disposal and how good it is set up, that individual type, for brand new stuff to come out in the future. I guess like the kind of idea that I want us to kind of take this series on with is if a new Aqua archetype, for example, we're going in alphabetical order, by the way, so Aquas will be first today. If a new Aqua archetype came out tomorrow, how well would they be set up just in terms of generic good stuff that an Aqua deck would be able to use that other decks aren't going to necessarily be able to utilize? And then kind of analyze each individual monster type based on how well set up they are for the future, for brand new archetypes, for competitive success down the line. So we're going to go in alphabetical order through every single monster type in the game, culminating in one final tier list video at the end where we can actually rank all of the monster types in terms of how much competitive, kind of base they have for new stuff to be kind of held up with it. And that's kind of the idea of the series here. So we're starting with Aqua. It's kind of a tough one to start with, but alphabetical is alphabetical. We're being fair here. This is a tough monster type, and kind of what makes this monster type tough is that it kind of takes one big conglomerate of a couple different types, and it's just one subsection of it. So when you look at a lot of generic water support in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's mostly a majority made up of Aqua, Sea Serpent, and Fish type monsters. But they're different types. We'll look at Fish and Sea Serpent later on in this series, but today we're supposed to be looking at just Aqua. Now, the benefit to Aqua means that it can take advantage of water stuff in general, because let's be honest, 90 to 95% of all Aqua stuff that's ever going to come out is going to be water. So any just really good water cards should still kind of apply to these three types, in my opinion. So they're going to be looked at here as kind of a boost to Aqua itself. So that's where we start. Let's start with the generic water stuff. Here, let's start with this graphic. Here, my head's kind of cutting off Stealth Kragan, but that's not too big of a deal. So these are the best extra deck tools. These are probably the biggest things that water decks will have going for them, and Aqua included there. The big one in the middle is the number one card, maybe that Aquas can use, period. I know it's a Cyberse, but it only takes 2 waters. If Aquas are 95+% Aqua water a majority of the time, this card's going to be utilized there. This card can just once per turn target a water monster with 1500 or less attack engrave, special summon it. Locks you into waters, but like this is just Splash Mage for water, an entire attribute, not even a type. So this is probably the single best card that most water decks have at their disposal in terms of a generic card, right, before their own archetypal stuff. But this card's crazy. The fact that it's so generic, it reborns anything with a low enough attack stat, and it's incredible. Doesn't even negate it. Outside of that, you have a ton of other stuff. A couple other links. You have 2 Mermail links. These are fine. They're not out of this world good, but I think you also have to take in mind Mermail and Atlanteans as archetypes could totally see synergy here. It would take an Aqua archetype or new Aqua cards that like being discarded or like discarding stuff and have specific synergy there for these to really feel like they're hitting home, but like they could still have a home there, and they're very easy to make with just Aqua monsters. And then you move into some synchros, some good level 10 here in Ice Jade, Ymir, Azurine. No, most decks don't use this because most water decks aren't good, to be honest, or have other options. Dragite's a spell and trap negate. White Aura Whale just wipes the board on synchro summon, pretty good as well. But they require water monsters to get their full worth, right? And then you move into some Exceeds with Lavirtue Dragon, with Stealth Kragan, with Abyss Trite, with Abyss Gaios, and the new Poseidra. They are all solid in their own right. They're different ranks, and you'd have to have an Exceed base or at least like similar leveled monsters in an Aqua archetype to utilize these, but they all have some redeeming qualities that are pretty nice regardless. Keep in mind too, as we're looking at these, we're going to go a little more in depth today, and we'll just kind of scan these when we get to Fish and Sea Serpent later on, just to kind of remind you that these still kind of apply to those. Here's a little page. This one's not super relevant, but I threw them in here just because these are all fine cards. They are probably power crept out of Yu-Gi-Oh at this point somewhat. They could maybe fill a very specific role in a specific deck. But for the most part, these are just basic extenders that say, You have a water monster on field, I'm jumping on field in one way, shape, or form. Like they're not all work exactly like that, but they kind of are just one card extenders that could matter in a specific Aqua archetype, like to fill a very niche role. But you know, that's later on. And then you finish up with just some kind of random stuff you also got to throw out there. Like we said, some Mermail cards and Atlantean cards that, again, if your stuff likes being discarded, Abyss Pike just searches a level 3 water, just straight up. So he actually does apply here pretty well. Abyss Teus getting into Abyss Pike without normal summon and a body, pretty good. And then Abyss Rhine as well. If you have a new Aqua come out that's a level 7, this card has good synergy there. You also have this small ice jade package. Azurine searches Ran Azurine, and Ran Azurine is basically a 1.5 card level 10 water synchro. By discarding a card, pretty good. Pretty decent value and can get you just right into Ymir or another synchro 10 if you wanted. These two in the middle are huge, right? Because stuff like Marine Cess Corlin Enemy exists, Barrier Statue of the Torrent is a menace. If you can just get him in rotation, and he is an Aqua specifically, so a new Aqua archetype that has synergy there could be crazy. Corlin Enemy can just reborn this for free. So, yeah, pretty cool. Moulin Glacier as well. If you have combos that can get you to Moulin Glacier while manipulating your amount of waters in grave pretty seamlessly, this card is a hand rip for 2. Very, very strong, obviously. Then you get to Minstrel, helps you play through hand traps. We've seen this card be crazy in Atlantean Mermails. Title, pretty cool card as well. Gives you a Foolish Burial. And if you're playing an Aqua deck that's all waters, this could actually have just good synergy. And then Area, she's not, the water channelers are weird, but like I guess I'll throw it in there just because this should theoretically be able to search almost any water monster. So a new archetype could abuse this. And then Ice Barrier as well, like Foolish Burial goods this to grave, and now this can just search a high level water monster. Cool. I like that synergy. That's kind of it for all of your generic water stuff. After that, we have to get into a discussion about what specific Aqua stuff happens. This is the water stuff. These cards all technically apply to Sea Serpents, Fish, and Aquas. Now I have to get into the Aqua specific. Swap Frog. Very good card, actually. Maybe the best main deck card that Aquas will ever have going for them into the future. He summons from hand by discarding another water, and then on summon, he can send a level 2 or lower water Aqua from deck to grave. So pretty good. Doesn't take your normal. Gets you a Foolish for a low-level Aqua. And then he can even put himself back in hand for like future use. All yada yada. Very, very, very high-quality card. Next up, you have Supreme Seamare. Sorry, these pictures are weird. I'm doing my best here. This guy's basically swap, but worse, but better. if you want to go there. So he can just Foolish any Aqua. It doesn't need to be level 2 or lower. It doesn't even have to be water. He can just Foolish any Aqua on summon. Cool. I like that. You can also tribute him to add an Aqua monster from grave back to hand. So he does just kind of search you an Aqua, but you lose your normal, kind of. So depends on what you like there. Yeah, so he's a little more generic than Swap, but Swap doesn't take your normal and isn't once per turn and can be a little more abusable for sure. But still a solid card. I could still see a world where this is actually best normal summon in a new Aqua deck that comes out. From there, we move to Mirror Mage of the Ice Barrier. This card is very cool. This card gives you some really cool synergy between Ice Barriers and just water decks in general. This could have fallen into water generic stuff. Probably should have, but it is an Aqua itself, and its effect that summons Ice Barrier tokens, those are all Aqua as well. So I thought if we do get a deck that is specifically locked into Aquas, this card still can potentially play entirely under that. I thought it was enough. This card has 2 very powerful effects, though. When it is sent to graveyard, period, so even off of Swap and Seamare, it can add you any Ice Barrier card from deck to hand. That means the monster reborn that exists for Ice Barrier, which can then reborn this card, and then this card on field contribute any monster to special summon up to 3 Ice Barrier tokens. And then you're able to synchro summon from there because this card is a tuner itself. So really, really good value card and allowing you to turn Swap into just like interaction. Totally awesome if you want, or if you want to get into synchro lines, you can also do that if you want. Pretty good card, all in all. And then our final card, or not final, I think we have 2 more. Chaotic Elements. This is a weird one. I'm not going to lie to you. Whoa. Hold on. Just make sure we're fair here. This one is a weird one to me. It only adds level 5 or higher light or dark pyros or aquas. So that does still apply to aqua. Like we've talked about here, you should expect 95% of aqua monsters to be water. So this should not apply to most. But also when they print a card like this, I've made this point multiple times. When they printed a card like this, when they did print this initially, we were like, what does this do? There are no good search targets for this. And what have we gotten since then? We've got some Tistina and Ashen support that I think has some synergy here, that this card has some connection to. We've gotten Canine, which basically entirely legitimized this. There's a world where Konami just chooses to make an Aqua Dark deck in the future. And we go from there. And it's just good. You know what I mean? Maybe they can make a new crazy main deck tier limit card that this card searches. There you go. Could have some synergy there. So yeah, I'm going to count it. And lastly, we look at Totally Awesome. This is the one extra deck piece that is crazy. It's out of this world good. I love this card. Even though it's been crazy. It's probably too crazy. Like it should probably be more hard ones per turn, maybe at 1 on the ban list, all that stuff I totally get. This card requires 2 aquas. That's why it definitely ends up here. It is not super, super generic, especially with Bahamut Shark now banned, but needs 2 aquas. 2 level 2 aquas is a very specific like stat line. Now, swap Frog into our Mirror Mage of the Ice Barrier is Toad, which is really cool. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. And then once per turn, during the standby phase, you can summon a frog monster from deck. Very cool extra synergy with frogs. It's an Omni Negate on field that when it negates something, it tributes an aqua from your hand or field. And then you can choose to steal the opponent's card. That's insane. And then, of course, when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can just add any water monster from grave back to hand. This card is crazy. It is a house. It is an incredible, incredible card. It gets your engine going. It gets you follow-up in grave when it's sent to grave. And it is just an Omni Negate. That steals. This card is out of this world. But not every Aqua, like if they just come out with a new Aqua deck and it's kind of based around level 4s, level 3s, this card's irrelevant. So like as much as this card is crazy, there's no guarantee Konami is going to design the next the Aqua archetype around level 2s. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. All in all though, there's not a ton going on for Aquas specifically. Luckily, it has the crutch of the generic water stuff that we already talked about. Same thing with fish, same thing with sea serpents. We'll get there when we get there. But not overly impressive. As you saw, for Aqua specific stuff, there's like 6 cards total that are like actually like these are nice for Aquas when a new Aqua archetype comes out. So they're a very interesting one. But for right now, you know, we kind of have to sit back and we'd have to see what a new Aqua archetype looks like and how they want to design it. But there are some tools nonetheless. I don't want to ramble too much though. That's everything I kind of had for Aqua. That's you know, monster type number 1. We'll get to, I believe, beasts in the next one, which is very cool. There's some cool beast stuff. And that actually gets us into our next kind of group, kind of how sea serpents, aquas, and fishes are in a group. That will kind of kick us into the second group that kind of also exists in with Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster types. But that's for another day. Thank you so much for watching, as always, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. What kind of tier would you put this in? If you're thinking of like tier 1, 2, 3, or maybe A, B, C, D, F, you skip right to F, I guess, you know, in the US. Where do you give this monster type in terms of how well it's set up for the future? Love to hear your guys' thoughts down below on that. Get hyped for the rest of the series. We're going to go through every monster type. I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to learn more about each type individually. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.